Heritage, status. What makes a brilliant Real Madrid manager? Is it about winning games? Is it about picking the right players? Or is it even about the smart tactics? Nope. At Real Madrid, it's more than that. To lead this team, you need something special. You need the aura around the club. You need that heritage that comes from the club. And you need that status to even be inside the dressing room. And guess what? Xabi Alonso has all of these qualities. Just like Zinedine Zidane, just like Carlo Ancelotti, and just like Mourinho, the past successful Real Madrid managers of recent times. They were not just coaches, they were generals, they were leaders, people who walked into the room and you knew straight away that this was the manager of Real Madrid. And it's now Xabi Alonso's turn. This is a massive job for Alonso, and the jump from Bayer Leverkusen to Real Madrid is completely different. The expectations, the standards of the club are completely different. And what was smart at Leverkusen might not be what they need at Real Madrid. But something that Alonso definitely has is that Real Madrid DNA. He's won a La Liga, he's won Copa del Rey. He even won the Champions League when it was the Decima, the number 10 Champions League for Real Madrid. So he definitely understands the expectations and the levels of the club. In this video though, we'll talk about why Xabi Alonso is the perfect manager for Real Madrid. We're going to explore his past at Leverkusen, the smart tactics at Leverkusen, what he can bring to Real Madrid, and the signings that could make his dreams at Real Madrid come true. But before we get into it, don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts on Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid down below, and subscribe for more. At Bayer Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso produced one of the most historic seasons in Bundesliga history. In the 2023-24 season, he won the domestic double and he did the impossible task of going unbeaten throughout the whole season. And if you watch them play, you realized why they were unbeatable. He used to play in a formation that was like a 3-4-1-2, but it could easily change depending on the game state they were in. That could change to a 3-4-3, a 4-4-2, or even a 5-3-2 at times. His team were just smart, very smart, especially in their positioning. And what made them so great was that they relied on the relationships on the pitch to be able to play football. They played together, they worked hard together, they understood each other. All of the players moved with the ball moving quickly. They always looked to find space. They always knew where their partners would be running into space. So if you watched their football, it felt like it was robotic, but it was beautiful to watch. And in defense, his teams were unbeatable because in terms of the attackers, they were pressing high. They would win the ball back quickly. They would be able to counter press. But if needed, they would also be able to come back and become a compact team. And when they were compact, it was all about making sure there's no gaps. There's no spaces to be defeated from. In terms of in possession, they used a back three and a double pivot. It was all about moving that ball forward vertically. It was about the centre backs finding the centre mids as quickly as possible with very neat, quick touches. The wing backs were pushed up almost like wingers at time. Maybe sometimes Grimaldo will move into central midfield to overload the centre. Maybe Frimpong will go out wide. And then as soon as the midfield has that ball, it's all about releasing quickly so that Florian Wirtz could get it in the gaps. And then it was about building alongside Boniface. And these were the main things Alonso was looking to do. Create overloads out wide, create verticality with his passing so that Boniface was involved inside the box, and just being able to play that risky pass when it was needed, but not being scared to either retain possession or just recycle possession if it felt like that pass wasn't available. Here are some of the key players that definitely worked for Bayer Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso and who I felt were inevitable in that team. Florian Wirtz in that number 10 position, picking it up in the half spaces, showing his ingenuity with his turns, with his passes and his finishing ability. That was someone who was world class, and there's a reason now why Bayern Munich, Manchester City and Liverpool all want him for around 125 million. Then you had Granit Xhaka in the midfield, a midfielder who was comfortable progressing that ball, playing the risky pass, but also just being comfortable when the ball is at his feet. Jeremy Frimpong and Alex Grimaldo, we can't not talk about the wing backs. They were incredible. Frimpong would push up like a winger, get inside the box, finish off his chances, and Alex Grimaldo with his technical quality on the set pieces, on the crosses, crosses, and just in general, when both of them were attacking and on fire, Bayer Leverkusen just could not be beaten. Whether that was against Bayern Munich, whether that was against Borussia Dortmund, this was world-class coaching at its best by Xabi Alonso for a team who's not known to be the best. Let's now look at these principles and experiences that Xabi Alonso has learned from Bayer Leverkusen that he can take to Real Madrid with him. We all knew after that Leverkusen season and then the summer comes that Bayern Munich and Liverpool wanted him and Xabi Alonso rejected the move, that he would inevitably be the successor to Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. And even as a player, when you watched him at Real Madrid, he had that tactical intelligence. He had those leadership qualities in the Real Madrid team. So now when he walks into this dressing room full of egos, because we know that Real Madrid team has a lot of egos. Players like Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, they expect the best of the best to be coaching them. When he goes in there, he will demand respect and he will be given respect because of the reputation that he has. And that is something that's so key for this Real Madrid team in general. Alonso has shown that he can be extremely versatile in his style of play. He can either do the low block, mid block and make sure he's defensively tight, or he can even do the possession football where he's dominating teams. And that's something that Real Madrid will definitely need. I've seen under Carlo Ancelotti how they've come up against different game states and they try to play the same type of football in every single game state. But under Xabi Alonso, there will definitely be a team that's tactically flexible. If they needed to defend a lot, he'll be able to create a mid block that will make sure they don't concede a lot. And most of the games and the majority of the games, you're going to see Real Madrid dominate in possession and attack very fast and directly and cause massive problems in La Liga and in European football. Additionally, in the past, we've seen with Xabi Alonso, he's a very approachable manager. He has a lot of communication with his players so that he can get the best out of them. Emotionally intelligent. He's able to make sure if players are angry at him, he's able to communicate why they're being benched. He's able to have very good conversations with them in where they need to improve and what he expects from them. And we're talking about big players. We've seen what he's done with Florian Wirtz, who's very similar in terms of quality to players like Jude Bellingham. In my opinion, Real Madrid fans, they always want to be entertained in every single game, and there's no denying that Alonso ball, when it's in full flow, is entertaining. And for that reason, that is why the Real Madrid fans will absolutely love watching their team again, because in this last season under Carlo Ancelotti, they've definitely felt that the football hasn't been good enough for them as fans in general. So we're going to be watching some great attacking plays, some great attacking patterns from some of the best footballers in the world. Let's now look at some of the signings that we expect Xabi Alonso to make for Real Madrid in the summer, so that they have built up this squad that he definitely needs to be successful in La Liga and to be successful in the Champions League. In my opinion, the first thing that we already know is that they're getting Trent Alexander-Arnold. But why would they want him? Well, that right wing back that Trent Alexander-Arnold will be under this Xabi Alonso team gets freedom to move forward. He gets freedom to move centrally. He sometimes could be a winger at times, and there's no better player in world football at being an offensive fullback than Trent Alexander-Arnold. We are talking about a whippersnapper from out wide in terms of his crosses. We are talking about pinpoint passing when it comes to his through balls. Imagine Trent Alexander-Arnold picking the ball up on a counter-attack with Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. running in behind, and he produces those world-class passes that we saw him produce at Liverpool week in, week out. They will be unstoppable on the counter-attack. Then on top of that, they need a ball-playing centre-back, and there's no surprise why they are willing to accept paying the release clause for Dean Huijsen. He's an excellent defender. At just 19 or 20 years old, he's going to be the future of Spain's defense alongside Asensio, who's already at Real Madrid. But the difference between him and all the other Madrid centre-backs is that he's a ball-playing centre-back. Left foot, right foot, carrying, passing. He's good at it all. He can get that ball out and make sure it gets to the midfielders quick enough, make sure it gets to the attackers quick enough so that he can produce that direct style of play that Alonso likes. And finally, they need a left wing back. Ferland Mendy is finished. Fran Garcia is a pure bench player. He can't be a starter for Real Madrid. So they're going to need someone there. And it looks like they already found their target. Alvaro Carreras from Benfica, who was previously at Manchester United, will most likely be their fullback. And he is very good. Defensively solid, as he showed at Manchester United when he was there. But offensively, he's very good with the ball at his feet. He's comfortable in possession. He moves like a midfielder but at fullback. And that is exactly what Real Madrid need. In terms of the other positions, it depends on outgoings. I expect Rodrigo to leave, but we could see someone like Tchouaméni maybe leave as well for more first team football, especially because Xabi Alonso needed Zubimendi so badly, and he actually wanted Zubimendi at this Real Madrid team. But unfortunately, Arsenal was so far ahead in that deal already that Xabi Alonso was not able to sign Zubimendi. So don't be surprised if they do sign a centre mid or maybe even a winger to replace Rodrigo. How will Real Madrid line up, and why would they line up like that? Well, we know Courtois is going to be the goalkeeper because he's an absolute beast of a goalkeeper. The three in front of him, in my opinion, is going to be Antonio Rudiger, who's comfortable playing in a three at the back, Dean Huijsen, who's going to be the main ball-playing centre-back, and then you have Asensio, who has proven himself to be a very good centre-back, even though there are some sus things around him right now. When you go into the wing-backs, you have Trent Alexander-Arnold at right wing-back. He will be instrumental in this Real Madrid team. At left wing-back, we have Alvaro Carreras, who's going to be more comfortable coming deeper and making sure he's the controlling type of wing-back, whereas Trent Alexander-Arnold will bomb forward. Going into the two in the midfield, I'm going with Camavinga and Valverde. Camavinga is going to be the defensive midfielder, tasked with moving that ball forward quickly, tasked with being a controller in the midfield, which Xabi Alonso will definitely need to coach into him. Of course, there's Tchouaméni as well, who can definitely play in that position if needed. And then Valverde, who's alongside him, is that box-to-box midfielder, that absolutely brilliant engine of his. Someone who's going to cover the distance backwards and going forward, and someone who you just can't drop regardless of who the manager is. And then going on to that front three is going to be Jude Bellingham in attacking midfield, just because of how good of a box crasher he is. He's definitely different to Wirtz, but Xabi Alonso has the qualities to be able to get the best out of Jude Bellingham, and Jude Bellingham has the qualities to be a world-class player, as we have seen. The front two, and this is where Xabi Alonso needs to get it right: Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, both of them running in behind, both of them top quality. We are talking about some of the best players in the world, but to get it right, they need to work together better. We saw this season there was too many times where Vinicius should have passed to Mbappe, Mbappe should have passed to Vinicius. They need that chemistry to build if they want to be successful together. In terms of the style of play, Madrid are going to have many avenues to attack. They can dominate that central midfield with Jude Bellingham, Valverde, and even Trent coming into the midfield just because of how much energy they have. When it comes to the wing backs, they can overload the sides, especially with the wingers, and you have the quality of Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's so good at pushing up. Imagine when him, and if it's Jude Bellingham or Mbappe on that side, coming and working together just to get past the defense and then create brilliant cutbacks. And then they also have that quality to counter-attack. Vinicius and Mbappe are two of the best attackers on the counter-attacking football, and when Trent's pinging those passes in behind, it's going to be a long day for defenses. Out of possession, though, is where the difficulty becomes, and this is where Xabi Alonso will have a lot of work to do. He needs to somehow convince Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe to do the dirty work, to do the high pressing, to make sure they're defending for the team, because if they don't, then Xabi Alonso needs to make sure the 9 other players are working extremely hard on the pitch. In my opinion, Xabi Alonso has the quality to get that message across to the 2 players, because you cannot have 2 players walking on the pitch when you're playing Xabi Alonso type football. And if he wants to do that, then he might even have to drop to a 5-3-2 or 4-4-2 formation, where the rest of the 8 players are working so hard defensively that those 2 up front don't have to do that. In terms of the key players, in my opinion, this Real Madrid team is going to be built around Kylian Mbappe. He is the main guy now. He is much more consistent than Vinicius Jr. has ever been. Vinicius has always been the guy for moments, but in terms of a full season, Kylian Mbappe is the guy who's going to win you the league titles. Even though they didn't win La Liga or UCL this season, it's so unfair because he was absolutely brilliant. He should be winning the Pichichi. He scored more goals than Cristiano Ronaldo scored in his first season at Real Madrid, and this is definitely not his fault because he has continued to step up for the team. The next player is Jude Bellingham. He's going to have that Florian Wirtz role. He's going to have to be a magician. He's going to have to be able to break the lines, get those through balls in, which he's definitely able to do. Also use his body to turn his defenders and open up space for his teammates, and then also have that intelligence to get into the box, the tenacity to get into the end of crosses and make sure he finishes off his chances. And then finally, Federico Valverde and Trent Alexander-Arnold will be very key to this team. Valverde, because he will have to cover that right hand side when Trent pushes up, and also have to do the running for Vinicius and Mbappe if they don't step up. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold will be key in breaking down defenses, being that creative hub that Real Madrid lost this season with Toni Kroos leaving in the last summer. Overall, with Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid can transform from Ancelotti's pragmatism and random football to a dominant, progressive side that can control games domestically and in Europe, because the squad that they have created is absolutely brilliant. By blending in his Bayer Leverkusen tactical structure with Real Madrid's star power, Xabi Alonso has the perfect recipe for sustainable success, for youth development, for tactical innovation, and continued European dominance with a Real Madrid team who have already dominated Europe under Carlo Ancelotti. He can take them to that next step. He can build the next dynasty at Real Madrid. This isn't just a managerial appointment, it's a new start to a new Real Madrid era. And I hope you liked this breakdown of how I believe Xabi Alonso will line up at Real Madrid. Don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts on Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso down below, subscribe for more, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload, and peace.